Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amirah Binti from class BA 2425D. Today, I would like to present about the ethical consideration in investors' investment decision. Before I start my presentation, this video was prepared for my Issues and Ethics in Finance lecturer, Madam Zabedah Binti Zaharu. First of all, what is an investment? Investment is the operation or mechanism of spending money for profit. However, the investors who invest are not always get the profit. They may be lost in their investment. The profit or loss depends on many factors such as interest rate risk, natural disasters, and economic condition. Next, the investors also need to be knowledgeable in investing. Besides, they encourage to be ethical in their investment. Based on the article that I have analyzed with the title, A Study on the Ethical Considerations in Investors' Investment Decisions by Dr. D.S. Chobe, Rishaf Dev, and Dr. Sideswar Patra, they stated that there is a controversy between investors, firms, NGOs, and academics about the ethical investment, or known as socially responsible investment, or SRI, exactly constitutes. In addition, the article also shows a view of the ethical values that reflected in the investment decisions of investors and aim to establish different factors that motivate investors to invest. Ethical investments refer to a particular form of financial activity that aim to have a social effect and to achieve a financial return on average or above the average. Investors have to take into account some considerations when they decide to make a social investment, such as the performance of the company that they plan to invest. Meanwhile, socially responsible investment (SRI) is an investment which is due to the nature of the business of the company conducts. So, in this article, the major issue of the problem is the meaning of the form of term ethical investment and socially responsible investment itself. There are many studies observed that financial interests influence investment decision much more strongly than the moral principle that investors can hold. The word ethics itself carries a huge sum of responsibility and a crucial structure which could affect even the smallest factor of an available situation. It is a single entity that could cause an incident in either beneficial or unfavorable way that often usually has an adverse impact. Individual behavior in investing is influenced to different degrees by financial and non-financial goals, such as value and beliefs, experience, and so on. However, there are still investors who have a sense of responsibility to equate wealth pursuit with ethical or community consideration, even the major goals of investment is return. Basically, the behavior of investors is influenced by their own objective. Their goal may be variety and contradictory. In addition, ethical investment is a highly targeted form of investment based on the views of individuals on what business practices are good and should be promoted, and what business practices are not good and should be altered. So, in this paper, there are some individuals that give their findings and opinions based on their observations towards ethical investment issue, such as Christian Klein, Michael Goyen, Sophia Jasmine, Prentice R., Lewis, and Mackenzie. Besides, this article was written for the purpose of to analyze the investor's investment trend against the business involved in the manufacture of ethical and unethical products. In conducting the observation, the author collects the information based on primary data as well as secondary data. They conducted a survey by distribute the questionnaires to 250 participants that are conveniently selected from Dehradun using the process of snowball sampling. Based on the findings of the article, it shows the investors from a young age group with well education and higher income appeared in making the ethical investment decisions. In addition, the implementation of ethical intentions also influenced by the elements of education and level of income that parallelly with gender and faith. This article contains a lot of findings from many observations made. It shows this article have its own value because many opinions from some individuals involved. In my opinion, ethical investment or socially responsible investment term is very subjective. There are investors who view this as a good thing, and there are also investors who feel that it is the other way. Ethical investment is an investment where the investors make the ethical values such as moral, religious, and social are their main target, together with the good return. However, most of investors are considering about the higher expected return in decision making compared to ethical consideration. Therefore, the investors will be more interested to seek higher returns if the ethical investment is offering for a good return to them. In other words, when the company does not give a good return, the ethical investors only helps. Additionally, according to Smith, the investment strategies that conducted by him consist of inclusion, exclusion, interaction, and conflict are related to an ethical decision making. For the additional information, there are three types of investors, which are pre-investors, passive investors, and active investors. By identifying what type of investors will be able to decide well if the opportunity available at the next level of investing is worth the effort. Besides, it helps investors to know the consequences of their investment style. Next, it influences investors to consider it with the ethical investment decision making. If the investors interested to make ethical investment, firstly, they have to define the ethical guideline by asking what the type of things that they want to avoid and what are the things that they like to invest in. Second, the investors must start by researching what actually that they already own in terms of securities and funds. Third, they can proceed by creating an allocation plan. This step is where the investors may buying new ethical investments, including new stocks and mutual funds. And lastly, the investors need to keep in check with their financial goals in order to achieve it successfully. This is because the investment may change over the time. It helps the investors to maintain their peace of mind for a long-term goals. In conclusion, for this kind of topic, there are investors that feel satisfied emotionally and financially when they invest in an ethical holding company that performs well. Meanwhile, in other perspectives, some investors feel ethical investment is complicated because requires a lot of analysis to ensure that it is compatible with the principles and beliefs of the investor. So, ethical considerations in investors to make an investment decision is very ethical dilemma. It depends on the individual itself. In fact, based on the analysis made, ethical investors possess a certain degree of idealism, whereby an individual needed to have an exact amount of choice and selection in making ethical decisions. So, that's all from me. I hope that you are enjoying with my video. I end my presentation here. Thank you for watching.